Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Today we're actually be discussing the center console of your 260 or 280Z here, and I've actually got one I'm going to be assembling to go with my dashboard I just finished up here. But what I've got the one that came out of the 2+2 that's automatic. I got this one I took out of a car in the junkyard primarily because it has a really good harness. It's for a manual, so I've got the little clips for the leather boot. But then I've also got a factory radio that came in it. I've restored it. It was in pretty rough shape. It's set in water. But I was able to actually take it apart, clean the metalwork up really good, and rebuilt all the electronics in it. Got this thing fully working. Looks great. So I'm going to go back with a factory radio. I've actually got a Craig that came in this car, the 2+2. It's not a bad radio. And I'm debating if I'm going to put it in the car or not, but for now I'm going to put original radio in it. Even though it's just a mono radio, I don't plan on listening to the radio that much. You know, I'm going to listen to the engine and the sound of the car. That's really what I'm after with this anyways. But, so I've got these two things here. I've actually got an OEM Nissan center console right here in the box. So this is actually a Nissan part here. So we're going to take it and take the guts between the two here and make a good one. The only thing I don't have yet is the leather boot for the shifter. I don't have that yet, but I'm going to go and piece everything together and get at least that much of it done, and just so I bring you guys along on how all this goes together. So let's start by opening up this new one, just kind of see what we got here. So see what we got to work with. I've got our radio out of the way in this one, and I've got it flipped over here. But I'll just kind of show you how the radio goes together. So we got this bracket that runs inside, and it basically is just held with these two screws here, and it's what supports the actual body of the radio. And of course then you take your knobs off and interface, and I'll show you how all that goes. Basically it fits to this, and then you put all that interface back together in that. That's how that works. We'll come back to that. I got it out of the way so I can flip this thing over and show you how the frame works in this thing. And I really say frame, it's not really a frame, it's just some support brackets to give it more structure. But this is the automatic, which I've removed the actual shifter piece here, which goes like that basically inside here. So on the automatics, you've got this style of bracket here, so the actual screws can tighten down these speed nuts, and that's how that works. In the manual, however, it's just little clips. As you can see, we got little clips here that just hold that leather in place. Of course, this one's busted, you can see. But basically, that's how that works. And so that's pretty much the frame. Then we got this main frame right here that's actually part of the ashtray support. And this gives you, like I say, a little bit more structure, and also gives you a place for that lid to slip into there. That's basically what that does. The wiring wise, on the automatics, you actually got an extra light. This is your dash light, basically for your to highlight the position of the gear shifter, and it actually ties up in here to the wiring harness with a white or the green with a white stripe and a red with a blue stripe wire. And this harness is actually the same in the manual. It's already got the revision for it, but it's actually taped up from factory. We can see them right here. They're pulled up here out of the way so they don't have any interaction. So that's what those two wires go to. We got our defogger switch, which goes here to the blue and blue wire with a white stripe right there. Then we've got our this is our hazards right here, and they go to this block style connector with a bunch of green wires, and then a blue and red wire on this side here, like so. That's how that works. And we've also got our lights. So this is your defog light that lights up when you turn on the defog switch. It goes to the blue with white stripe and then black wire into this style connector, Mullet's connector. And then we've got the actual fasten seatbelt alarm light, which is also blue with a white stripe and a black wire into this style connector here. So just a little bit different style connector, as you can see, versus that one that has the same color wiring. But actually that may be yeah, it's a blue wire with a yellow stripe. That's what that is. Yeah, so blue wire with a yellow stripe and then just a solid black wire there. That goes to your, like I say, your seatbelt, fasten seatbelt light. And that's pretty much all the harness in this thing. The radio plugs in. This one's a little bit more complicated because it's an aftermarket radio. But it just plugs into this block here. If we look at this one, you can see it just plugs in right here like this. It's just this one single connector. And that's how you plug that in. And then you got your antenna plug, which is this little switch here, which looks like that. And it goes right here to this plug right here, which is a 3-terminal. Looks like it's a blue with a white stripe, a blue with a red stripe, and then a solid blue wire, it looks like. That's your wires there. And so that's really it. That's all you have. There's not much to it. But like I said, when I get this radio in here, I'll show you kind of how that all fastens. And I'll take this out, get that transferred over to our new one, and then go from there. So I've got the screws out of this right here. This is actually part of our structure, but it's also part of the lid that you shut for your cigarette lighter. We can actually pull that up here, and you can just kind of see how that looks. So it's actually a little door that just slides on that track. It's got a plastic track on both sides, and that's actually how you shut your cigarette lighter. I'm going to take all this apart, of course. This all comes apart just simply by sliding out of the track. There's our lid. I'm going to clean everything up real good before we transfer it over. But that's how that works. It's got this little tab on it. It's like you have to kind of, you probably have to push that down to make that thing go back together. There you go. There, right there. But that's kind of what catches the front, keeps it from going too far. That's how that works. It also kind of pops in place when you get the lid where it needs to be. But anyways, there's that section of it out. You can see just kind of how it works. And everything's actually fine thread screws. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, going into plastic. But that's actually really good. I guess that's why these things held together so well. Because most everything I've seen has coarse thread screws, and they just back out. And vibration stuff. We don't have to worry about these, like I said, because they're for the automatics. I'm going to leave those alone. But I will transfer some of the harness from that one over to this one. So we got a good clean harness. And I'll get the radio installed. Alright, so I've got some of our stuff transferred over here real quick. These are just the lights. They just pop in place. I cleaned them real good and got those transferred. And then I've got our harness cleaned up here from this broken one that we're going to be using. Somebody just cut the connectors right off. I didn't do this. Somebody else did that in the junkyard, and this was just kind of laying in the car. They also broke it in half and bent the crap out of it. Like the ashtray lid piece, they just folded that thing over. So I don't know what they were doing. But anyways, got this all cleaned up our harness, got those in there. And now what I'm actually doing, I'm removing the leather boot, because this has been cut to get the transmission out in the junkyard. And so I'll show you what you do. What I found works really good is just a little small pick. Now this one doesn't have a pick tip on it anymore. It broke off. But it's good. Perfect for this. I can go here and stick it under these little clips and literally just kind of get it kind of pried up here like so. And they just kind of come off like that. That's how they work. And you'll see you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them in total. You take these out, and then this whole leather piece here, as you can see, will come out. I'm saving these clips because I got to get a new leather boot, but these will go on the new leather boot. I'm just going to clean these up. But that's really about it. Once we get that, got that transferred, I'll put the radio in, and that'll have this thing pretty much complete. There's not much to it, to be honest with you. It's pretty simple. So one other thing we do have is this ashtray. You got 2 screws inside of it. Here it holds a pressure bracket, and so I got to take the ashtray out. But to take the ashtray out, all you do is open it, and you push down on this middle piece right here. I'll show you if I can. There you go. You push down that. It's got a little lip on it. That comes out, and you can dump your ashtray. And then there's our 2 screws we removed for that, and then that'll come out. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to install the radio here. I've got it actually loosened, and I'll just kind of show how this goes together. So the radio, this is the metal backing face plate. We got these little spacers that go on the actual shafts. You put this on there, like so. We'll try to do this one-handed. Gotta get that line back up there. Get that to drop on there like so, so it sets against those spacers. And basically just kind of slide it through the front plastic piece there. Now I'm going to just leave this kind of loose. I'm going to put our screws in it just to kind of hold the radio in so it don't fall out on me, because I'm trying to do this all one-ended. Like I say. So just kind of get the screws kind of started there just so it's in there now. And then what you do is you take your face plate, which you can kind of see how that looks. And then that, of course, let me get these washers out of here. So then you take your face plate, put that on there, like so. You can see it actually falls right into place. It sets right there against that thing just like a glove. You can see it fits in these lines of your console grate. And then what you do is you take your washers and your nuts, and these nuts actually have, on the factory radio, they got a lip, a tapered lip on the back of them, which will go toward the faceplate. And then put your knobs back on, and then that's got your radio installed. And then just, once you get all this tightened up, then tighten up your screws here, let it kind of pull itself in position, and that's how you do it. That's how the radio installs. And there's our radio with the knobs and everything on it. You see how nice that looks. Looks great. Alright, I've got our ashtray compartment back in there. I'm going to clean it up a little bit more, but I just got it back in there. And I've got our radio plugged in down here. I've got all of our harness. Here's our antenna wire. Our radio's plugged back into the original harness. And then we've also got a little thing here that kind of pulls all the harness down, keeps it running along the edge. And here's where we plug in at. So that's how that looks. So I'm going to flip it back over here and we'll see how it looks as a complete unit. I also put the ashtray in right here. I just want to put the back ashtray back in it because it kind of does add some structure to it just a little bit. So since we had a hole there, just put that in there. But let's flip it back over. Alright, I got a radio back in there, got this thing complete. There's all of our switches and lights. Like I say, the only thing I don't have is the leather boot for the shifter. There's our ashtray lid. I may take it and actually just end up sandblasting it. I'll probably sandblast it and repaint it. But you can see it slides nice and neat. I got that metal painted and cleaned up in there somewhat. I may sandblast it as well. But I keep calling that a cigarette lighter for some reason. I found out through the video. It's an ashtray. It's the ashtray. But anyways, got that. Also installed the back ashtray like I mentioned. It just adds some structural integrity to this thing because there's a hole there. And of course, pull the little button, this thing pops open, and there is our center console. But I'll stand up here and kind of let you see this thing as a whole. But there it is. So center console is done, and really happy to have that complete. But hopefully this helps some of you guys out with your center console if you want to put original radio back in it, or even an aftermarket radio. It'll go in very similar to how that one did. Getting the spacers and everything set right for your nuts and your knobs, so everything kind of tightens down. That's the key. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. There'll be more to come here very soon. Take care.
These lawnmowers have lifted up society. And the debauchery.
Saturday.
It's not hard.
No monthly payments. It's a bigger, more fun upbeat variety.